Alright, so welcome to the best duel build for Magic Sorcerer on High Isle. This is on the PTS server, so I have full gold armor and all that if you're wondering why I got so much stuff. First of all, we're running a High Elf. You could go Dark Elf, High Elf, or Breton if you want. Breton, you get more sustain resistances. High Elf, you get more damage and stamina sustain. And Dark Elf, you get more stamina sustain and flame resistances as well as damage, I believe. So right off the bat, these are our stats. Nothing too crazy here. We have all points into Magicka. Critical resistance and resistances are low. You'll see why in a second. Our Mundus is the Atronach, which is going to give us, I think 300 plus recovery. I can't look and preview it because it's got an error for some reason. We're stage 3 vampire for the undeath passive, which makes you take reduced damage. And we're using clockwork citrus fillet. If you're running Breton, you should run bewitched sugar skulls. Into the armor, we're running 2 pieces on, both sturdy. You could go prismatic on this if you want. That might be better. I'm not sure though. 1-piece druid. It could be 1-piece trainee if you want, but it's reinforced for more. What is it? Resistances, and you're gonna get have a prismatic enchant so that you could buff up your max stats. 5-piece rallying. We got 4 on the body, all sturdy with Magicka enchants, and then 1 jewel. Two of the jewels are going to be flame resistance enchants, and one of them is going to be reduced spell cost. Reduced spell cost because you need the sustain, especially running low Magicka recovery, so you're going to need the sustain for that. And flame resistance is going to be because you're going to Mag DK is like the most OP class in the game, so you're going to see those the most, and you definitely need some sort of mitigation in order to beat them. Using Death Dealers, it's going to bring up all your max stats by like 3,000, I think. So all these will be plus 3,000 across the board. So around 17k stamp, 28k health, and 43.5k Magicka. Front bar, Ancient Grace, Inferno Staff, of course. Charged with Double Dot because it's going to make your Crushing Shocks hit harder, and if you're fighting really tanky opponents, Sharpen would be better, but that's kind of like, if you're fighting really tanky opponents, you're probably not going to kill them anyway, so it's just better to go for this. You're going to get a lot of damage with this. Back bar is Master's Perfected Inferno Staff. It does not have to be perfected because it's back bar, but we're running Infused Berserker Enchant. It's going to reduce the cost of your clench, which means overall more sustain, and it's going to increase your damage by 600 after you use the clench, which is your main stun, so you're going to be using it very often. Into the skills, we're running Crystal Fragments. That's going to be your main, not your main spammable, but whenever it procs, you're going to utilize that as your spammable. It's going to hit harder than Crushing Shock a lot of the time, so you definitely want to use that. Bound Aegis, that's going to increase your mitigation and your max Magicka, so that's really good to have. If you're fighting a melee character, so anything that's close to you, I'd slot Daedric Mines to immobilize them, and it's going to help us sustain because they're not going to be hitting you as much, so you won't have to cast as often. Crushing Shock, our main spammable, that's a no-brainer. You can interrupt people with it also, so that's a bonus. Hardened Ward is your main ward, that's a no-brainer. And Boundless Storm, because we're not running Mighty Chudon, you're going to want a source of Major Resolve. And it also gives you Major Expedition for 4 seconds after casting it, which means you could kite a lot better, and it does make a difference if you're playing against Magic Applars or just anything melee, to be honest. Back bar Critical Surge, this is your main heal and your damage buff, that's a no-brainer. Elemental Susceptibility, you could go Elemental Drain, but you're going to lose damage for the cost of sustain, so I prefer this. This is much better. If you're new to Sorcerer, you should probably go Ele Drain and Breton, to be honest. Dark Conversion is an alternative heal and a source of sustain. You want to use this on cooldown, so it's going to last 20 seconds. You want to always have the cooldown up because it's going to restore you Magicka passively as well. Curse is your delayed morph or your delayed burst. You're going to want to use this on cooldown as well. It blows up twice. After the second explosion, you want to recast. Time all your bursts with this. Very effective. clenches your main stun, you want to be using this like on CC cooldown. And if you're playing against anyone using it, you want to be constantly blocking them in order to stop their damage. Power Overload is our main ultimate. This could be swapped out for Greater Storm Atronach against melee opponents, but this is my go-to. Temporal Guard Front Bark, because that's going to give you minor protection, and yeah, that's sweet. Into the champion points, running Duelist Rebuff, Deadly Aim, Master at Arms, and Ironclad. There's kind of room to go for something like Fighting Finesse if you want to take off one mitigation, but I don't really see the point of that. For red, we're going Survival Instincts, Bastion, Pain's Refuge, and Sustain by Suffering. This is going to give you Sustain, this is going to give you Mitigation, this is going to give you Mitigation and Damage, and this is going to give you Sustain. So you want all of that. And yeah, that's basically it. For monster sets, you could definitely swap this out. You could do something, you could run Shoot On, take this off, slot this, give you Max Magicka and Major Savagery and Prophecy, so you'll have a higher spell critical and weapon critical rating. But this is good because Zons is going to give you a lot of damage. Balorg is something else you can do. You'll want to keep Boundless Storm slotted, obviously, and that will hit very hard if you use something like Greater Storm Atronach. Like I said earlier, you cast this and your Balorg will go off. You want to save up to 500 and you'll do a lot of damage. So full sturdy, 1 impen, 1 reinforced, all arcane, 2 flame resist, 1 reduced spell, and yeah. Other than that, that's basically everything. If you're using Dark Elf, like I said, you'd want to stick with Clockwork, but you might want to take off one of the flame resistances. But if I were you, I'd keep one of the both flame resistances. If you're Breton, just slot Bewitched Sugar Skulls because you're gonna have extra sustain from the class built in already. And Bewitched Sugar Skulls will increase your max stats, which is really nice. Especially your stamina, it'll increase it a lot, which is amazing. Especially since you're running Sturdy, you're going to have amazing Stam Sustain, which is crucial to fighting and dueling any class. So yeah, that's basically it. SCL, let's go. We're taking over. We're not here to take part, we're here to take over. And yeah, tune into my Twitch stream on Twitch. Cause you know, we're better than all the other streamers, and that's.
Oh, I done rocked out, fell off, turned up, now see me now. I know these pussy niggas hating, they wanna lay me down. They tried to make my career hold up. See, I came out froze up, I told them I'm fucking up the game soon as my money. They keep your banger, bitch. They know these gangsters to get. They know they bring me up, can't say that.